Good morning, everyone. This is Nikachu, Merfolk Master, and we are here with day 107 of Coffee and MTG, the morning talk show where we talk magic, we brew up the coffee, and we brew up the magic discussion. So wherever you are in this world, whether it's the morning, afternoon, or evening, make sure that you've got your cup of magic and you are ready for the magic discussion. First half of the show, we do Q&A and regular magic discussion. And the second half, we always go through deck list review. So if you have a deck list that you need some feedback on, you're like, hey, what about this list? What about this 75? How about my sideboard? Is this what we need in the metagame? You submit it to us, and both myself and the community will help give you the feedback to take it to another level. So yeah, grab your cup of coffee and let's have a great conversation about Magic today. And someone who's also active for Magic today is Salud. Well, you're here for the Magic, Salud. Good morning. Good morning, Salud. Good morning. Salud is less shy in front of the camera than Chubby Meatball is. But we have Salud. Salud is here as well. Okay. Go sit down. So let's get into the conversation. What can be said right now, at least from my perspective, Modern doing really well, really healthy. I'm actually trying to decipher exactly what on earth is going on that makes Modern so balanced, because I don't think anyone who's playing Modern right now is going to make any claim that, Modern is broken, Modern's busted, that any bannings need to happen, because actually, for the most part, the metagame is really flat. There is no, I mean, you could say that there are some best decks. There's some Uro decks. There's some prowess decks, but you're not seeing them constantly all over the place. And you see a very large variety of different archetypes. Maybe because of Zendikar Rising, people want to try out new stuff. So for the meantime, there's no clear best deck above all decks. Seems like a lot of stuff is playable and a lot of new innovations, new Death Shadow decks, new Death Shadow / prowess decks popping up. And of course, there's the Charbelcher deck. I don't know what to call this Charbelcher deck. Is it really just called Oops All Spells? What does the Charbelcher community say? Where's Lord Magicus? He would give us a really good answer to this. It's part of the communities. He might say Charbelcher. In my opinion, the Charbelcher is not in the main deck. This is not a Charbelcher deck anymore. It's something else. Good morning, Niels Nielsen. Good morning, Mike the Mailman. Good morning, Realny. And good morning, Balada. Yeah, so let's start. I hope it. What do you got? What does everyone have for coffee this morning? What does everyone have for coffee? I've got, well, what do you have to drink at least? I don't know where you are in this world, because if it's the evening, maybe you don't want coffee. As you all know, I am coffee in the morning, tea in the evening. That is how I roll. I don't drink coffee. So yeah, Balada's got the tea, and also Balada cheered the 10 bits. Thank you very much, Balada. Corgo 10. That was very specific. Oh, is this like the name of, or is this the name of the coffee? All of a sudden, I gotta investigate what Corgo 10 is. Well, this shows up for Corgo 10 when I look this up on Google. I don't know if this has. Is this it? You're drinking like beer or something? Well, you said you got tea though. I don't get it. Whatever. It's all good. Moving on. Good morning, Pan Hernandez. Good morning, Grim Ducky. Merfolk Metavid was great vid. Great watch. Thanks. You're welcome. Or you should really thank Papa Burgundy, who asked me to make this video. And so, yeah, if you don't know, I made on my Nikachu MTG streams channel a video about Merfolk versus the metagame. I went over basically all the top decks and gave you not only everything that you should be considering from their side of the board, but also what you should be thinking as a Merfolk player against those decks. But I got a lot of comments saying that it's really good even if you're not a Merfolk player. So, I mean, if you're not a Merfolk player, just go check it out as well, because I still go over all the top decks, some of their more important interactions and the things you have to deal with. What control decks do you think is most playable without fetches? Probably blue-white. Blue-white is probably the most playable without fetches because you can go... the mana base is easy to make. You can have like 4 Hollowed Fountain, 4 Glacial Fortress, 4... Like the mana base is not too hard. You just need blue-white lands, and I think you can very easily make that deck without fetch lands. You might be able to say the same about blue-red, but I mean, if you're trying to play with Blood Moon, that might be awkward because you do need the fetch lands to fetch out your basics, and you can't guarantee that. So in my opinion, blue-white, and blue-white is obviously a strong deck. And when I did my metagame research, it looks like blue-white has some presence, like just classic blue-white control has some presence in the metagame right now. Good morning, Thomas. Oh, it's the cheer animation. Oh, gotcha. What does it look like in the Twitch stream? Oh, the Corgo 10. Oh, I got it. It's the emoji on Twitch. It does not show up on this client. Drinking Fax Condi. What do we got here? Fax. I'm learning. This looks refreshing. Is this like a 7-Up or a Sprite? Med Drusokur. Not that I can pronounce that very well. Good morning, Mikey J. Good morning, Monster CC. Vjontek says, video is great. I don't play Merfolk, but knowing the angle helps a lot. You're welcome. I guess I could check it out. I thought it was gameplay. No, it's not gameplay. It's not gameplay. Yeah, that'd be awkward on my... Well, I mean, I mentioned on Facebook and Twitter what it was basically about, so... Saw Dogfish 5-0 Simic list running 4 Glasspool. Good to know Glasspool is playable in Simic. I'm still not thrilled with... I understand Dogfish is jamming Glasspool in Simic. I know, and with good results, by the way, not just this 5-0. He's also gotten a lot of 4-1s with it as well. But because I still get 4-1s and 5-0s with my classic Simic list. So the question I don't know yet still, and my intuition says it's clunky, but the one question I don't know, is it because it's a Simic or was it because of the Glasspool? So that's the difficult thing to figure out. But we'll see. Glasspool definitely is obviously an addition to Mono Blue, so definitely can make room in Simic. I only tried one league, and he's tried many. Siege Sensei, good morning. Mike the Mailman, any 2-color control. Yeah, well, basically, is it any 2-color control deck? I guess so. But, you know, like, there aren't that many 2-color control decks available. Oh, we're on. Hey, we're on. Yeah, we are on. That's right. Good morning, Leoti. This is Dunk on Control in Modern Stream. That's right. Grim Ducky, God's Shadow had a clean 5-0 blue-white post yesterday. Great looking list and only 4 fetch lands. See? Even the competitive lists aren't even playing that many fetch lands. Most control decks want as much mana as possible to double spell. Yes, but do they need fetch lands to make that stuff? It is like 7-Up. So so it's like Sprite and 7-Up. Yeah, it looked like a clear cola. Seems like some sugary bullshit. Well, that's basically probably what it is. But if that's what you want at any particular time of the day, if you need some refreshing drink, then you go for it. Sometime I drink Surge or mango juice. It's great for breakfast. In, I'm guessing this is Denmark, you can get Faxi Condi as an energy drink called Faxa Condi Booster. Well, there you go. Faxi Condi Booster. And the ads are in English, which I am surprised. Or maybe not. Maybe they're not in English. It looked like it was English at first. Good morning, Sirius D. 5x5 says, hey, Nikachu, I'm on my phone today packing up to move back to university today, so I'm probably just going to lurk today. No problem. Lurk at will. In Denmark, it's 4 p.m., so Fax Conde is good. Good morning. So I guess in Europe, You might be drinking your... I'm drinking my coffee. You might be drinking your Fax Condi. Good morning, mild Bobby Sauce. Yesterday we were talking about Star Wars characters in Magic because they could make a crossover at any moment. We went over like the Jedi Council, like what colors would these characters be? We went over the Jedi Council being either at least blue-white, Bant or Jeskai. Darth Vader was mono black, but Anakin Skywalker would be Grixis. We didn't even go over the Emperor. I imagine the Emperor might be... Well, I guess the Emperor also be Grixis, right? But he would be definitely Grixis, because he's got the lightning. What color is Jean-Luc Picard? I imagine blue-white. If I were... I'm not sure. Or maybe just mono blue, because he's basically an explorer, right? He's not... you look at Jean-Luc Picard like he's like a... like he's a commander or something, but I mean he commands a ship, but really he's just he's just an explorer. They're basically scientists, in my opinion. Yes, he's willing and ready to go into combat, but they're supposed to search out new parts of the universe. So how many Trekkies do we have here? I'm not that deep. I did watch a decent chunk of Star Trek. I'm not that deep into it. Blue, white, green? How is Picard green? Are there any competitive modern decks I can build in paper for under $100? Paper or digital? The most competitive deck that I can think of that you can buy really cheap. Oh, it's like Prowess. It's got to be Prowess, and you just don't play with the really expensive cards like Blood Moon. But that would be like Mono Red Prowess would be the deck that you want to play. Janeway is blue-red. Why would she be blue-red? I don't get it. You got to give some explanations here. Like when I say the Emperor is black, blue, red, I give the blue because of the forced mind stuff. I give the red because of the electricity, the lightning that he can cast from his hands, and the black because he's evil, basically. Cisco? This might be not... Is this a Star Trek thing? What was this, Deep Space Nine? I never watched that. I never watched that version. I saw the Next Generation. I saw Voyager. I didn't see Deep Space Nine. Was not interesting to me. I heard it's a good one, but when I was a kid, I was bored to hell at the concept of them going nowhere. They just don't go anywhere. Isn't that the point of Star Trek? They're trekking around the stars. This is star stationary. I didn't want to watch Star Stationary. Anyway, I don't know what Cisco... anyone's more than welcome to share their idea for Cisco's color identity on Star Trek. Yeah, I think on paper it's got to be Burn and Prowess as your best budget build for under $100. Violus Folk, I mean, you can build Violus Folk for less than $100. You definitely can do that, but I will not lay any claim that it is the best modern deck at under $100. Oh, that video already came out? TCC's Tolarian Community College's video on the secret lair? Because it, like, on Twitter yesterday, it was like, I got to spend many days thinking about this. I don't want to irrationally make this video. And then boom, here it is in the morning. All right, I'll check that out way later. I have a lot of streaming to do today. I just started season 3 of Deep Space Nine last night. There we go. A lot of Deep Space fans here. Cisco feels like a white card to me, I think. Deep Space Nine is good for consistent storyline, but not episodic. He likes his rules and moral principles. Do you think Mardu's Shadow is pretty decent in today's metagame? Yeah, I think so. I mean, also... Well, here's the deal. Rakdos Shadow is proving to... Let's go find a Rakdos Shadow deck. I know we're all over the place in conversation. It's all good. Let's go to MTG Goldfish. Let's go look for a Rakdos Shadow deck, because Rakdos Shadow is serious right now. Where is, like, Rakdos? Where am I? I'm in Standard. Here, I'll show everyone what I see. Hey, McDonald's advertisement. It's actually hidden by... You know what? Let's keep the McDonald's advertisement hidden. Mill, Blitz, Burn. I want to see more decks. Show me the Rakdos deck. Hope I'm not. Is this it? Death Shadow? Is there green in some of these decks? Oh, just because of mutagenic growth. Bullshit. I hate when MTG Goldfish does it. Oh, it's a 5-color deck. Oh, it's Phyrexian mana cards. You know, Infect can be like blue, green. Infect at any given time can be blue, green, white, and black for Dismember and Apostle's Blessing. So here's the deal. Is Mardu Shadow something? It could be, but you would have to make a really good argument for adding the white instead of just going Rakdos. So this is definitely a thing. This is popping up everywhere. So you have to say, well, what white cards can I put in this deck that would improve it? You could, like, it wouldn't be hard. I mean, going a third color is not too difficult because of the Sunbait Canyon, and also fetching and shocking is just something you want to do in this deck, period. But this is so far proving to be a really good Rakdos deck. Death Shadow, Swift Spear, Soulscar Mage. It's combining Death Shadow and Prowess into one Love Child. It's basically the new deal. 2 Death Shadows. If you had trouble beating the first one, and the crazy thing is this one will make when Death Shadow hits you, it doesn't get bigger. When this one hits you, it gets bigger. Because if whoever has, well, I mean, assuming the Death Shadow player's life total is low, when they hit you, then this thing just gets larger and becomes even more of a problem. Death Shadow is not particularly expensive. It is not, and this is a dust. This is, yeah, price collapse. It got reprinted a few times. Like, look at that set symbol. Can't remember what is that? Like, Double Masters got reprinted in Double Masters. Oh, it was also reprinted in a few other sets. So price of the card going down. Soulscar Mage going up. Holy crap! Get your Soulscar Mages out. I gotta have a few Soulscar Mages like in a bulk bin. I thought this card would not see any play. I can't remember. I think Day 2 Dryden was pretty high on this card, and then it just didn't see play, and then like whatever. And now it's seeing play all over the place. I can't shake, in some sense, I can't shake off the fact that this card, when it came out, saw absolutely no play for like 3 years, even though it looks so damn similar to Monastery Swiftspear. So, is Mardu Shadow possible? At least Rakdos is possible. So if you can find some really good reason to add white cards to this, like even Path to Exile, I'm sure it's playable. I'm sure it's playable. So I know this deck, as far as, why would you have Croxa in your sideboard? That's a bizarre card to have in the sideboard. I mean, it's fine, whatever. It's a strong card. Maybe it's 2 of them. Maybe it's for a particular deck. Kolaghans, so Kozilek's Return, that's a beating. Kolaghans Command, I'm just looking at all the artifact hate. What do you have to beat my Chalice of the Voids? Nothing? You have nothing. You have 2 artifact removal spells. Oops, Kolaghans Command and a Braid. You have anything else? Thoughtseize. Only Thoughtseize. Holy crap. Chalice on 1, this deck is over. It's lights out. Grim Ducky says, do you think Skydiver would be worth a couple slots if I see a lot of Vile decks in my meta, or would that be too slow? It's way too slow. By turn 2, you don't want to be playing something like Merfolk Skydiver. So Skydiver is basically the 2-mana 2/2 flying creature. So flying, whenever Merfolk Skydiver enters the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. 5-mana Proliferate. We don't really have... oh, so you wanted... If you see a lot of Vile decks, you want to tick their Vile up? I don't think that interaction is worth it. If you're going green, you see a lot of Vile decks, just play Collector Roof. That will work too. Shuts off your Vile, but if you're bringing this on the play, it will wipe them out. So there you go. That'll work. Bounce it with Brazen Borrower sometimes. There's a lot of answers. There's a lot of good. Oh, and yeah, there's like Thieving Skydiver as well. That's also a super legitimate way of. Also, Flying Creature. 2/1 flying. Will steal their Ether Vial. Even better. So for 3 mana, you take their Ether Vial instead of spending essentially 7 mana, 2 mana to cast, and also 5 mana to activate. You may not even jank up their Vial. They might have a Vial on 2, you put it to 3, and they can still put stuff in play. Oh, the new... Did I say... Oh, you're talking about the new Skydiver. It's funny. You said you want to use the Skydiver card. For some reason, I thought I read Merfolk Skydiver. I did not. There's no Merfolk here. You just said Skydiver. I think of when I think of Thieving Skydiver, I think of thieving. The key word in my brain is thieving, not the Skydiver part. Well, whatever. It just what coincidence that a Merfolk that we have available to us is called Skydiver, and okay, we'll choose any number of permanents and/or players, and then give another counter of each kind already there. And it just so happens that this could, in theory, mess up another person's Ether Vial. Okay, Thieving Skydiver. If there's a lot of Vial decks, yes, you can play this card. That is the simple answer. No, the new the new Skydiver. Of course. The new Skydiver. We have 2 Skydivers. What is a Skydiver? You're in the sky and then you dive? Whatever. Merfolk fly these days. Why is K-Command discard mode relevant in Modern? You don't get to choose their discard, which is usually seen as bad. What makes Kolaghans command different? Well, usually the thing is, let's say if one card perfect. Well, first off, you can get perfect information out of your opponent. So let's say you draw a card for the turn. You can now Kolaghans command, and let's say you have no other relevant targets. You can Kolaghans command, destroy a creature in play, and then also make your opponent discard the card that they just drew for the turn. So if it's a creature, they lose it. And one way or another, Jund generally wants to drain you of all the cards in your hand. So it is still a 2-for-1, technically. Like, one way or another, they got to deal with everything in your hand. That's their general game plan. Rip everything away from you, and then while you have nothing, I'm going to beat you down with some big threat, whether it's like Tarmogoyf from the Jund deck or Death Shadow from a Death Shadow deck. Attrition is part of their game plan. So and it usually comes with another mode. Like, that's the deal. It's free. It's free, essentially. So if they don't have a creature in the graveyard to put back in their hand, or they don't think it's that relevant, they would prefer that you have no cards in your hand, they will use either destroy target artifact, make you discard a card, or deal 2 damage to one of your creatures, make you discard a card. Or in some rare situations, deal 2 damage to you and make you discard a card. So the point is, attrition is part of their game plan, and they do want to get rid of all your cards at one way or another, and that's why they have it, or that's why they use it, and it is a popular mode. But it wouldn't be popular if it didn't come attached to another mode, like it's a shock plus you discard, or it's like return a creature from my graveyard back to my hand and make you discard. When opponent is down to 1 to 2 cards in hand, is attrition it's an attrition thing? Yes, but it can. Well, people still use the mode on me when I have like 5 or 6 cards in hand. It's better the less cards you have in your hand, because it is very likely that you don't, or how do I put it? It's let's say I make 4 land drops and then I miss my 5th, then it implies that I don't have any more land drops in my hand. So making me discard a card is effectively the same as destroying the creature when it enters the battlefield, because they have to deal with the card one way or another, and they just made me discard it from my hand. It's an instant speed, so you can play it on their draw step if they have no cards in hand. That's what I believe. And well, yeah, and then that is one of the most powerful uses of Kolaghans command. So at their draw step, before they make it to their main phase, you're allowed to play spells and abilities, and so you can Kolaghans command, make them discard the card that they drew for the turn. And if it's an instant, it's not good value for them. But if it's sorcery or planeswalker or creature or even a creature land, it will be good value for them. Merfolk gets all the hate, yes. Gonna play more Flicker Folk. What did you think about it? I think it's a bit too janky for me. I'm not gonna play more of it. I do genuinely believe that there is something there, but I don't want to put the time and work into making it a real thing. I'm gonna let other people make it a real thing. Sort of like when Simic first came out, I didn't really believe in it. I let other people play test it. And then I only started playing Simic when the Horizon Lands and Collector Oof came out. And also the metagame was just really fast, and grinding out the opponent was a lot less relevant. And then that's when I personally went to Simic. Okay, I need speed now. I'm gonna oh my god, I've been playing Simic for a year? That's disgusting. I can't believe it, because I started playing Simic in the Hogak metagame, and I guess I've been playing Simic ever since. And now might be transitioning back to mono blue, as we're going to play test today. But for Flicker Folk, I think the advantage of going Flicker Folk is going to be in a very attrition-based metagame, not a combo metagame, not a super aggro metagame, because it's very clunky. It's very clunky. So far, it's very clunky. There could be new builds that are less clunky, but when it goes off, it really goes off. You put a lot of power on the battlefield. So I'm going to keep that in mind, just like I kept Simic in mind when, like, I knew it had better aggro starts than mono blue, but I did not think it had I didn't think it could grind at all against any attrition-based decks. And even right now, I'm actually suffering against Jund and Death Shadow with my Simic deck. Like, I do fine, but I don't feel like I have a really big edge. So when the metagame goes super mid-range, more grindy, maybe even more control-like, I could definitely see experimenting more with Flicker Folk. But until then, I'm just going to let everyone else experiment with it, and I'm going to be playing slightly more traditional-looking builds of Merfolk, because I do believe that speed is still very important in the metagame right now. So the metagame has to go super, it needs to go super heavy on Jund and Mardu and maybe even Uro control and blue-white control, and what else? Maybe even Eldrazi Tron. That might be okay too. That might be a good matchup, because getting the lands on the battlefield and then blinking a bunch of 4/3 creatures in place seems actually quite reasonable against Eldrazi Tron. So that's the metagame I might be looking forward to sleeving up Flicker Folk when I see it. But until then, I only, because a lot of people say, hey, when do you play this? When do you play this? I only have a limited amount of time to play test. And if I don't instantly get a sense, get a good feeling about the deck, and I do have I think there's definitely something there. The interaction is powerful, but I don't like the speed, and I still think speed is relevant right now in the metagame. We still have Amulet decks. Tron is on the rise, which I think you actually need to outrace and not control. So stuff like that. Ad nauseum, again, you need to race, and I don't want to be clunky against those decks. That's all. K-Command is almost always a 2-for-1. Isn't that good enough? Well, it's like a pseudo 2-for-1. If you take a land out of my hand, it's not that great. K-Command being instant speed and 2-for-1 is what makes discard good. White for Shadow is Giver of Runes and Path to Exile. For anyone who wanted to know the Mardu Shadow route. Discard is preemptive. Discard is preemptive counterspell. Except the problem, and what makes that weak in general is that no one sunk any mana into that counterspell, but it was free, so you didn't spend any mana to make them discard either. Decks like Jund are the only kind of deck that enjoys having to top deck. That's correct. Well, both are cool versions of the tribe. Would you play Oko in Legacy Merfolk? Well, that you can ask a little bit more about that to Lord Magicus. So, ideally, yes, But the problem is if you go if you go Simic and Legacy, you're now vulnerable to Wasteland, which still is a deal because like one of the biggest threats in the metagame is Delver, and they still play Wasteland despite it being in an Arkham's Astrolabe metagame. See, look at that. If Legacy Merfolk was a playable deck, yes. What do you think on Black Red Shadow? It looks good and it's making results. And with good reason. I mean, it's prowess plus Death Shadow. Looks like a dangerous combination. So do I still have this deck up here? Be prepared for this thing. I should make a deck tech on this. Mr. Death Shadow and Mrs. Prowess got together and they had a baby. All of a sudden, Mrs. Prowess was pregnant and this is what came out. This is literally Death Shadow and Prowess together. This is just a blur of the two archetypes. And Lurrus to boot. That's just great. Just fucking great. You have Lurrus in this deck as well. So grinding against it, it may or may not work. Like, I know I sniped off a Scourge of the Skyclaves against one of these decks, and they're like, oh, I'm going to play Lurrus, and I'm just going to bring it back. Aside from that, it's got very similar... It will not be as fast as a Prowess deck, but it'll have... because it only has 8 Prowess creatures, but still is very... So it's got good early game, but then it has like amazing late game with Death Shadow and Scourge of the Skyclaves. Like, it's just nuts. Could you see Eternal Masters 2 in 2021? Absolutely. I mean, there's going to be more Masters sets for sure. There's going to be like, they're going to make an infinite number of Master sets. They make money. They need the reprints. We need the reprints. Everyone wants the reprints. Reprints for centuries. Legacy is 15 kinds of fucked up. It's dead to me until they ban like 5 cards. Which ones? Which ones? Hydrosa asks. Veil, Astrolabe, Teferi, Oko, and Engineer all need to leave that format. Sadly, I can see the first 4 getting banned. I really don't see them ever banning Plague Engineer. Unless like all the tribal players... Problem is, there's not enough tribal players here in the first place. Like, if Magic was a heavy tribal-based deck, or tribal-based game, then all of a sudden, everyone would be up in arms about Plague Engineer. Oh, this thing's broken, you're ruining all our decks. Screw you, Wizards of the Coast, change it. Ban this stupid thing. But the problem with getting something like Plague Engineer banned versus, say, Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, Teferi Time Raveler, is that if you get into tribal and you get crushed by Engineer, they'll be like, well, screw tribal. I'm just not going to play it. I'm going to move to something else. Whereas with Teferi Time Raveler, there's all sorts of control players and combo players at heart. And if they play ad nauseum and they see Teferi Time Raveler on the other side of the battlefield, they're like, okay, well, screw the ad nauseum. I'm going to move to another. I'll move to another combo deck. And then that combo deck can't beat Teferi Time Raveler. And then that combo deck can't beat Teferi Time Raveler. And I don't think tribal players... I don't think there's enough tribal players to shout Engineer out of any format. It's just going to be around. Sadly. Very, very sadly. What a stupid card. Let's just... we talk... I complain about this once in a while, but... we can always do this... We can always have our bi-monthly cry and whine about Plague Engineer. What a stupidly designed card. You know, in addition to all this other shit, it has Death Touch. I mean, usually, honestly, Plague Engineer usually outpowers my creatures anyway. But this card is just heinous. And it's like, it's playable against decks that are not even tribal. Like, if you want to hose a infect deck, you can bring it in against them and name insect. Are they all insects actually? Maybe they're all insects, so actually they're insect tribal. What is Blighted Agent? Can't remember. No, it's a human rogue. What's the human rogue? Is this a fucking human rogue? Or the thing in the background? Is the human rogue in the background or in the foreground? I don't see any human here. I see some really bizarrely looking thing. Human rogue. This is not a human rogue, in my opinion. And frankly, I don't see how the guy in the... If it is the guy in the background, I don't see how the guy in the background is the unblockable one. Doesn't look very sneaky. Sneak level 0. But anyway, you can like bring in Plague Engineer, name human, and then boom, goodbye all of the blighted agents. So I mean, it's like decent removal against stuff like this. But Plague Engineer, why? It's like, okay, we're gonna boost. I guess you know what they were gonna they marginally boosted tribal decks in Modern Horizons. They're like, we have to make an answer to these tribal decks at the same time. We need, just like how we always complain, oh, they print Uro, but they didn't print an answer to it. This was their answer. For once, they actually did it right, and it murdered the Merfolk players. Just put such a hurt on also not just Merfolk, also goblins. So goblins got all these amazing tools and just got completely undermined by Plague Engineer, as if none of it even mattered. I feel so sorry for the Goblins players. They had to wait like a whole year until they got Conspicuous Snoop printed, and then all of a sudden they now actually had a real combo that could fight through Plague Engineer to some degree. So yeah, anyway, the card is dumb. The card is dumb. In some sense, it's easier to deal with because it's a creature, you can just kill it. But in some other sense, it's very difficult to deal with because it has Death Touch. And a lot of tribal decks don't have a lot of removal. Like, we just don't. It's not what we do. Goblins, I guess, had the most removal between Munitions Expert, which is not even relevant here, because it's just going to die on the spot. Tar Fire, Fatal Push. But still, like Elves doesn't have, like, removal for this. They got Reclamation Sage. They have nothing to deal with a Plague Engineer. Anyway, evil time, bad time for, or not the greatest time to be a tribal player. Fortunately for Merfolk, you know what? We have enough lords that we could fight through this stupid thing to negate the -1/-1 effect. But still, it's a pretty stupid card. Glistener Elf. Glistener Elf is an elf warrior, so they're not all insects. What's the comments here? Have you seen the Walking Dead cards? I have. We talked about them yesterday. Engineer never getting banned. Yeah, I really don't see this card getting banned. It's like ridiculously. Well, I don't know. Okay, so Lord Magicka says it's in 25% of decks. So is Lightning Bolt, probably. Or Fatal Push. But point being, like, maybe hey, if Plague Engineer is in 50% of decks, maybe that can warrant a ban. But it's like a very bizarre card to ban. It's literally the most played creature by a wide margin. Now that is a weird thing to say. It would be one thing to say this is the most played sideboard card like Veil of Summer, but to say that it is the most played creature in the format is very, very telling. What's the most popular creature? What's the most popular creature in Modern Legacy? Oh, it's Plague Engineer, huh? That's like a trivia question on Jeopardy. This creature is the most played creature in Magic the Gathering. What is Birds of Paradise? No, I'm sorry, that's wrong. What is Shivan Dragon? No, I'm sorry, that is also wrong. What is Plague Engineer? That's correct, Billy. For Legacy, I play Manaless Dredge and Death and Taxes right now. I don't know about Manaless Dredge, but Death and Taxes is certainly still a deck. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. It's up to 31% of the deck. 31% of decks now. Uro's second place at 22%. I'm just excited about the Chalice prices for paper in the future. Well, I mean, the Chalice of the Void for... We can go look up... Let's go look up Chalice of the Void. I like looking at price trends. Let's look at Mirrodin because it's the oldest one. Oh, look how big this is. Do I have to zoom out? I have to zoom out. No, maybe I don't. So here's the trend over. So look how expensive it was here. This was when I think this thing was this around the time that Eldrazi-tron started to become a very serious thing. I think at Hour of Devastation, this might have been when Eldrazi-tron started to become a real thing. Or what caused the spike around here? I know the spike around here is Eldrazi-tron became a very, very, very serious thing. Because this is when War of the Spark came out. Or maybe Chalice of the Void was just gradually going up and it got a reprint around here. But I can't see it. Whatever. It's all good. So point being, and this is, oh, wait a minute, this is Magic the Gathering Online. Let's see tabletop. So if you want to print this in paper, and it's the same trend, more or less, yeah, it's probably going to come down like a pretty good chunk. The new one probably is going to be very expensive because it's going to have a new border, classic border, and it's going to look beautiful in foil. I just know it's going to look good in foil. Go tabletop. Yeah, this is the tabletop mode. So it's $44 right now. And again, like I've made videos on Chalice of the Void. You want to own them and you want to hold them. Like, don't be selling your Chalice of the Voids. Don't even sell it right now. Like, if you're like, oh, the price is gonna go down, but is it gonna go down so much? Like, it could go down, and then Chalice of the Void is just needed immediately, and then go back up, and then you don't have your Chalice of the Void anymore, and then you have to like buy it back at a higher price. So like, you wanna keep your Chalice of the Voids, in my opinion. Worst trade I ever made was an Invention Soul Ring for 4 Chalices. That is just, but I've used them a lot. Worst trade? Hold on, you got the Chalices or you traded away the Chalices? Yeah, Chalice is getting a reprint. Can't remember what the set is called. Oh, a Chalice of the Void Time Spiral Remastered. And it's going to have classic border. So this is what the new I'm sure the foil is going to be amazing with the star. It's going to be so beautiful. It's going to be so expensive too. This probably is going to be more expensive. Well, you know what? I bet in the beginning this card is probably not going to be too expensive, but over time it's just going to be more expensive than the other one. I'm also a sucker for the classic border. I think the new borders suck. Yeah, I'm just going to say that the new borders are garbage compared to the classic ones. They're not that... It was a change. They should change it again because I don't think they're that great. Like, I'm really not a fan. I'm not a huge fan of the modern day border. It is not that good. I think the blue one is a bit awkward when it's not foil, but still, it's better than like what we got right now. They're not distinct looking. Sometimes they just look too washed away, and I just don't care. Like, the old borders were very, very distinct. I miss white bordered cards. Hey, there's a lot of artists out there that will help fix that. That's definitely for sure. There's tons of them. But the reprint is not on the set. It's like the list in Zendikar, right? What is this in reference to? Is it because of Engineer that elves don't really see play? Yes, elves are hurting badly because Plague Engineer exists. And Lava Dart and Walking Ballista. They have a lot of problems right now. But the reprint is not on the set. Are you referring to the Chalice of the Void reprint has been officially announced. That's why they got this. You can see the set symbol here. That is, I guess, this Time Spiral Remastered. So they're going to make another Time Spiral set. They're remastering it. I guess it's going to have new cards like Chalice of the Void. Well, as far as I'm actually, do you know what? I don't know enough about this set. Maybe we should look it up. Time Spiral Remastered. Because now you're making me second guess myself here. Really don't know. I don't know what's going on with the set. It's the first remastered set to appear in paper. It will be released 2021. Time Spiral Remastered is a new way to experience the Time Spiral block. It will feature fan favorites from Time Spiral, Planar Chaos, and Future Sight, all distilled into one draft experience. Oh, so they are just literally reprinting stuff from Time Spiral, Planar Chaos, and Future Sight. One card per pack will be in the old pre-modern card frame. Just like, oh, one card per pack? Just like how in original Time Spiral, you had one old border time-shifted card per pack. Really? They were that rare? I didn't know that. Let me, like, zoom in on this. Ooh, too close. One person is the imposter. Is it you? So yeah, Time Spiral Remastered is a new way to experience the Time Spiral block. It will feature fan favorites from Time Spiral, Planar Chaos, and Future Sight, all distilled into one draft experience. Yeah, so how did they get Chalice of the Void in there? Because I don't think Chalice of the Void was not part of any of this stuff. Which gets to Azurd's point. Maybe it's on a list. Because Path and Chalice are not from Time Spiral block originally. So I don't know. I honestly don't know. One card per pack will be in the old pre-modern card frame. I didn't know how rare the Lord of Atlantis is then. The Time Spiral Lord of Atlantis. That's pretty rare. Which makes the foils even more rare. Hold on, but they didn't make any normal Lord of Atlantises from Time Spiral block. I don't understand this. Or maybe this is new. This is a little bit different than how they did it before. One card per pack is still better than the list. Do you think they'll bring back Shadow Mechanic with Time Spiral? It's a nostalgic mechanic for me. Apparently, no. I don't think they are. They could bring that in Modern Horizons, though. Good old Shadow. Can only block creatures with Shadow. Also, yeah. Shadow creatures can only block each other. No one else can. Okay, so I honestly don't know how this thing works. Honestly, can't tell you. All right, so let's do some quick deck list review. We did a lot of commentary. So remember, if you want your deck reviewed, go ! Deck review space. Give the URL to your deck list. Leave any comments. You know, what's the format? Are you on a budget? What helped you? What decks are you trying to beat? What do you need help with? It would help definitely help me and the community. Help you. Help me help you is basically how this is working. And as we get into decklist review, of course, we are going to thank our sponsors, starting with, hold on, I'll get rid of the banner. Starting with themanabase.com, your home base for everything Magic the Gathering. And of course, the Manabase is sponsored by Fusion Gaming Online. Fusion Gaming Online, my favorite local game store. Bought cards from them yesterday, actually. Got some Master of Waves Elementals for my patrons. So deal of the week this week, however, they have a new deal every week. Save up to 15% off all mystery booster singles and booster packs. So, you know, get your Mana Crypts 15% off, 150 Canadian dollars. I think that's what it is right now. Mana Crypts. Mana Crypts are not cheap. Mystery booster. So it was 150, now 127. All in Canadian prices, remember. And yeah, go check them out at Fusion Gaming Online. And also, we're going to thank Mana Traders. Mana Traders is the premier place for you to rent Magic cards online, and you can support the channel by using my Mana Traders link in the description below. Or you can use my coupon code Nikachu to get 15% off your first 3 months. Your first 3 month subscription. However, today is the last day if you want to get 20% off. Once it gets to October 1st, it is now 15% off. The Nikachu coupon code will redeem only 15% off. So today is the last day for you to get 20% off your next 3 months if you use the coupon code Nikachu. October 1st and afterwards, they have they're changing it. It's not me. It's not me. It's them. They have control. I'd leave it. I'd give you 25% off. I'd give you 35% off if I could. I can't do that. I don't have the power. Do we have any Decklist? I don't know if we have any. Let's go see if we have any Decklist review. No Decklist review. All right, screw it. Let's continue the conversation. OG Time Spiral has a time-shifted set. Is that how it works? Because I wasn't around at that time. Oh, Bellata has something. All right, let's go look at Bellata's thing. Yeah. Anyone around Time Spiral block is more than welcome to speak up. Wondering what direction I should go with this deck. All right. As for End. I don't know why. I really like this name. As for End. Blood Crypt, Breeding Pool. Oh, we're 4 colors? We're 5 colors. All right, we have we only have 20 lands. This is some sort of Curator of Mysteries, Deadshot Minotaur. It looks like, okay, it is an As Foretold deck, an Electro Dominance, Narset, Parter of Veils. Okay, I understand the yeah, you can play Living End. Okay. Anger of the Gods. Oh, it's like Living End in a Cascade deck with a bunch of really expensive cards if you have no Cascade cards. So I've seen stuff like this before, and it's called Mono Red Living End as far as I'm concerned, or oh, we got Salmon of No Doubt just subscribed for 3 months in a row. Thank you very much for the 3 months, Salmon of No Doubt. No doubt you are a fan of Nikachu MTG. No doubt. No Salmon of No Doubt. Okay, so now I can't remember if they were like all in on Electro Dominance and all. I think they were, though. I think they're all in on, because you have no way of casting any of these things, right? Unless you have at least 4. You need, I think, at least 4 of these and at least 4 of these, As Foretold. Because you play As Foretold and then you can immediately pay 0 for Living End, Crashing Foothills, Ancestral Vision, Wheel of Fate, stuff like that. And of course, you got the sweet Wheel of Fate and Narset Parter of Veils. Maybe I'll look up a list to get inspired. I'm guessing they had anywhere between 7 and 8 of these effects, because if you don't get any of these online, then the rest of this deck doesn't do anything, right? Your deck, like, if you have a bit of a Hollow One thing. Mono Red Electro End died with the looting ban. This is not the same deck. Okay, hold on. What was it? Maybe it's Mono Blue Living End? But if we were Mono Blue, then we're missing the red part. Maybe I'm mixing up the 2 archetypes. I know there's a Mono Blue one and there's a red one. And now you've got both. Okay, hold on. Electro Dominance As Foretold. We have a brew. Come on, someone on MTG Goldfish, give me a list. Okay. 100 ticks, cheap deck. So we have the 4, it's like this list actually looks pretty clean. So 4 Living End, 4 Electro Dominance, 4 As Foretold. They play Cryptic Command, though. I'm just curious about their creature base. They did play Architects of Will, Curator of Mysteries, Deadshot Minotaur, Desert, Ceradon, Stripped River Winder. Where's their sideboard? No sideboard. For sure, you need like Ingature. Okay, so first things first. Yeah, there's a lot of blue-red Electro balance. Not as much with Living End, but this is fine. You need four of this. Chalice screws you so hard. Like, you die to Chalice. They play Chalice, you lose. Chalice on 0. Well, maybe you don't actually lose. You can sort of cast your creatures, but I wouldn't rely on it. So we need to go all in on 4 Electro Dominance, 4 As Foretold. I don't mind the Narset. This might get fancy. So maybe we don't... Maybe this is fancy as well. Like the Crashing Footfalls. You should just be more all in on the creatures. The cycling creature base. Maybe Ancestral Vision is fine for 0 mana. You know, running all the free spells means you're all... Like, if you're going to play Living End, and I don't mind Living End. Like, I don't mind this one. But if you go all in on the free spells, you can really screw yourself because you have nothing else to do. I'll tell you what I like about the Living End deck. Let's say they bring Chalice in. Let's say they bring in the Graveyard Hate. You could just fucking cast these creatures and then beat them down with them. It's not that insane. It's not insane at all. If they're going to play patiently to control your game plan, to control your deck, you know, wipe out your great graveyard, you got plan B of just attacking with these damn things. But let's say you bring in all the Crashing Foothills and all the Ancestral Visions, and then they play Chalice on 0. You do nothing. Also, these cards are vulnerable. Even if you try to suspend them and then cast them, let's say you don't actually have an As Foretold and Electro Dominance in your deck, then you get ruined by, what's it called, Teferi Time Raveler. So there are costs to going all the free spells route. What did this other one do? See, this one, okay, this one all in on Ancestral Vision, all in on Living End. I want to say, take this shell. I'll put this deck. I'll link this deck here in the comments. Take this shell and maybe change it up to your preferences. Like, I might play more creatures in this deck. This one had only 18 creatures. I don't know how good... like, I might not have played with the Cryptic Commands and Remands. You could go a little bit more creature-based with the way you want to play the deck. Like, I don't see the value in Cryptic Command, honestly. And maybe Remand is okay, because under the right... Like, you can get to 4 mana, cast your Electro Dominance, and then if your opponent plays a counterspell, you can either remand their counterspell or remand your own spell so that you can recast it in the next turn. How often does Chalice come up? I mean, Eldrazi is still a very popular deck right now, and a lot of Vile decks do also. Well, Merfolk particularly plays Chalice. You should be most concerned, however, about Eldrazi. I don't know if you already addressed this, but what's your take on the whole Walking Dead Secret Lair? What if one day they print a modern, legal Aquaman or Ariel the Little Mermaid? Does it bother you if you had to play those? Yes. Honestly, yes. I don't really like these TV show cards. Honestly, I would really cringe at a Star Trek card in my Magic the Gathering tournament. I don't want to be up against Jean-Luc Picard or any of that other crap. It breaks the fantasy. Like even though this game is hardly a medieval game, I actually still think somewhere in the core of my mind that this is a medieval game, you know, between wizards and sorcerers and stuff like that. So I am not a fan of the Walking Dead thing. I would rather it just didn't exist. Or, like, they can have My Little Pony and stuff like that. I don't care, so long as it's not tournament legal. It's actually that'll be that's my personal take. Now, whatever, if they force me to play against Jean-Luc Picard, whatever. If I have to play Aquaman in my... Hey, if Aquaman buffs up Merfolk, maybe my tune will change. You know what? If Aquaman gives all my other Merfolk hexproof or something like that, you know, I might end up liking this Aquaman card. Or like the ideal thing that they should have done is did the Godzilla thing, where you can have Godzilla cards in Magic, but all they were doing was replacing the name of the actual card and their abilities with a Godzilla name and a Godzilla art. That's fine. I don't care about that. That's not too bad. When I'm up against Sprite Dragon, I'm still up against Sprite Dragon instead of Dorat the whatever pet. Because there was Sprite Dragon, but then the Godzilla version was Dorat the Dormant Pet or something like that. And I think that's a very good way of like getting those cards into Magic the Gathering. But anyway, so I would take like this deck is very similar to what you're doing, but like I said, they're not all in on the suspend cards, which I like. And you could definitely go down that route. And you know, Wheel of Fate is not too bad. I think it does a fine job with what you're trying to do. Discard your hand of creatures, and you could go more that route than the Ancestral Vision route. That's fine. And especially since you're using Narset Part of Veils, which by the way I also think is a fine card. It's totally good, and also helps find your copies of like Electro Dominance and As Foretold. But I would still shape my deck a little bit more around this. Like I was just trying to look for. So if I were to do anything, 4 Electro Dominance, 4 Ancestral Vision, take out the Crashing Footfalls, and do you have enough creatures? That might be it. Like that might be my only recommendations. No, you need only one of these, so you have to you could then fill up to a 3rd Wheel of Fate or a 3rd Ancestral Vision. I just don't think... By the way, this card sucks. It's not that good. Okay, you create 2 4/4 green creatures. Like, you know what? Modern honestly can like deal with this. It's not that big of a deal. Wheel of Fate, on the other hand, if your opponent has if you have Narset, you play Wheel of Fate, that will screw anyone over. That's doomsday for like basically any deck. But even then, only Secret Lair cards that you can only get in Secret Lair. What if they print a card which nobody notices the power level at first, and after Secret Lair ends, it gets heavily played? The prices will be, well, like in this particular case, we don't know for sure if this is setting the precedent for future Secret Lairs to be like this. They might have, like I said, they might fix this and give it the Godzilla treatment, where it's literally a different card, but the Secret Lair has the special art and the special name. In my opinion, that is the best way to fix this. And then they can print that the OG card to infinity if they really want to. I think the way they treated the Godzilla cards are exactly how they should treat this. Okay, so I hope that was some useful feedback, even though we were in between a lot of other conversations. Mild Bobby Sauce has been chosen. A modern semi-serious troll deck, a deck that I made that wins with Demonic Pact. I lost any blue deck, but it is what it is. I appreciate your attitude towards it. It is what it is. All right, so everyone likes blue, right? Usually. Okay, Phyrexian Metamorph, Muyan Ling, Narset, Spell Pierce, Boomerang, Deprive, Harmless Offering. Roll exchange control of 2 target permanents that share a permanent type. Interesting. Mythos of Aluna. So this is another Demonic Pact deck. Mythos of Aluna. I've never heard of this card. Create a token that's a copy of target permanent. If green and red was spent to cast the spell, instead create a token that's a copy of that permanent, except the token has whenever this permanent enters the battlefield, if it's a creature, it fights. What's the point of this card? Create a token that's a copy of target permanent. You're stealing their lands? Why? You want to make? Are you trying to make copies of like your enchantments? So first off, I don't think it's. You may have entered a battlefield as a copy of any artifact or creature on the battlefield, except it's an artifact in addition to its other types. I've annexed a Field of the Dead and won. Oh yeah, okay. You can take that thing. 24 lands, a few watery graves, steam vents. We need fetch. Well, you got some fetch lands. So you have 9 cards to play Demonic Pact. You definitely need the red for the Harmless Offering. This is modern legal? This whole thing is modern legal. If only the problem with Demonic Pact is it takes so damn long to win with this thing. You literally need to wait like 3 turns. You have to play a bit of a control game and then you win. Deals 4 damage to target creature or player. You gain 4 life. Target opponent discards 2 cards. You draw 2 cards, and then you better have the answer by then. I mean, it's no different than I guess from some Scape Shift decks that try to get the 7 lands, but they ramped to that as well. Sideboard Chalice, Inquisition of Kozilek, Damping Sphere, Force Negation, Leyline of the Void. I would rather... Okay, first off, you need your win condition more consistently. There's no way around it. You need to play 4 Demonic Pact, and I guess this is enough. Maybe you should have 4 Roller Reversal and 2 Harmless Offering, because this actually looks good. So you can exchange, for example, I don't know, a Phyrexian Metamorph, copy a crappy creature, and then exchange it for like one of their good creatures in the meantime. Or you can exchange one of your bad lands for one of their lands. Or you know what I mean? Like and of course it's funny, you can exchange your lands. So you actually have a pretty decent like Ponza game plan here to slow them down before you actually pull this off. But you need 4 Demonic Pact. Like this is your win condition, and you need this as reliably and as often as possible. So you definitely have to add one of these. I don't like this card. Just remove it. Add 4. Add less one of these. You need a better mana base too, because you really need to get this Demonic Pact on turn 4, and then pray that you can win after that. Maybe this is not that bad. What is there something worse? I hope these interact well with this deck. Narset Pardo Veils is fine. Okay, actually take out Mu Yang Ling. This is not that good. Like, it's okay, but not that good. I was about to recommend Ratchet Bomb in this deck to deal with the 1-drop prowess creatures, but actually you have Seize Claim. Yeah, I'm not going to change too much with this deck. If you want to go that mana denial route, that's fine. You have to add a 4th Demonic Pact, take out... I'm guessing one. You can take out Mu... I don't know if I want to take out Mu Yang Ling, because Mu Yang Ling is terrible everywhere except against prowess decks. Actually, I think it's very good against prowess, because you give the prowess creature -2/-0, loses flying, and then all of a sudden you create a 4/4 flyer that they have to attack through. So actually, I do like... You could say Mu Yan Ling is actually well positioned right now. But outside of that, you have to also make your mana a little bit more consistent. You don't have enough fetch lands, so you have to increase the number of fetch lands to find your Watery Grave, and then play some other budget fetch lands if possible. Your mana is actually terrible. You have 5 red sources? Or okay, sorry, you have 5. You have 8 red sources. Why is this mana so awkward? You have too many islands. You need more fetch lands. It's like more Flooded Strand, more Polluted Delta, or something like that, so you can make the mana more consistent. I mean, I know you don't need Harmless Offering immediately. You can wait until turn... Well, maybe the mana is not too bad, because you can still wait until turn 8. Not turn 8, sorry. Turn somewhere between turns 5 and 8 when you play Harmless Offering against the opponent to donate them the Demonic Pact. You know what? You might want one less Mu Yan Ling, or maybe a few. Well, I don't know what Phyrexian Metamorph is really in here for, but take them out, add more Narsets so that you can find the Demonic Pact. Because you can find Demonic Pact, right? You may reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them, put it into your hand. Because this is your win condition, basically. Aside from that, you don't do anything. You're sort of like a awkward blue prison deck. So make your deck as consistent as possible at finding, casting, and also executing this combo game plan. Not really going to speak too much for the sideboard because I don't know what you're weak to. Honestly, I really have no idea what you're weak to. And I don't think you're weak to counterspells because you have your own counterspell backup. Maybe you said you're weak to counterspells because you have this Spreading Seas plan and, like, who cares? They've got islands anyway. But you can always side that out and side in other stuff post-board. Anyway, I hope that was useful. Some useful feedback, and hopefully you Demonic Pact people away. But even then, legal cards that you can only get in Secret Lair. What if they print? Oh yeah, we talked about that. So like they might go like this is they basically printed more reserve list cards. I understand that, and they could definitely screw up and make these cards legitimately good, just like they did with Nexus of Fate. You know, they printed. I think they definitely printed Nexus of Fate as if this was not going to be a playable card. It's 7 mana. It's never going to see play, and then ended up seeing a ton of play. Even sees play in Modern, for crying out loud. It's so good. If only it didn't shuffle itself back in its library. Probably, if it exiled itself, it would be a completely different story. Maybe this card would never see existence. But the fact that you can reuse it over and over again is pretty stupid. It's basically 7 mana, untap 7 lands, and get attack steps and stuff like that. El Rodeo then says Mu Yan Ling was good for me when I drafted it every time. Yes, I'm sure she was a powerhouse in draft, but not as good of a powerhouse in Modern. You know, I tested Mu Yan Ling a bit in Modern Merfolk. Unfortunately, just doesn't do enough. Like I said, it's good against Burn, good against Prowess, not that great against everything else. The fact that you get no value when you first play her, like you go +2, might have no effect on the board, like against Jund or something like that, is a pretty big deal. And getting a 4/4 creature every 2 turns, not even that relevant against Jund. Like against Jund, I could play Mu Yan Ling +2, pass the turn. Okay, Abrupt Decay. Okay, I got nothing. I paid 3 mana, you paid 2 mana. That's the problem. That is the problem. If she started off at 4 and I could immediately -3 and get this blue elemental bird creature token, this would be a totally different story. Probably this would see play in like every blue deck possible. But the fact that your value is delayed by a whole turn just makes her not unplayable, but like I said, it's because it's good against prowess decks and other aggro decks, but like not playable enough. All right, so that's it for Coffee and MTG. If you're watching live, we are most definitely going to get into streaming. We're going to play some Modern Merfolk today. But for everyone watching on YouTube on the replay, thank you very much for joining me today. And we had some great conversations about all sorts of stuff, all things Magic the Gathering. And we had some awesome deck lists to review. So I will see you all at the next cup. So take care, and I'll see you next time.